Good day and welcome to Mayor King's TV News. I am Timiela Emanuela. Now to begin the news, here are some of our top stories. NAFDAC targets markets, bars, motor parks, and begins nationwide raid on sachet alcohol. On foreign scene, US announces tariffs on dozens of countries over forced labor concerns. In sports, Super Falcons overcome Tanzania in pre-WAFCON friendly. Now the news in full. Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has approved financial assistance for 533 indigenes of the state who graduated from the Nigerian Law School during the 2025 session. The governor disclosed this in a statement shared via his official X handle on Thursday, describing the intervention as part of his administration's commitment to investing in human capital and supporting young professionals. According to him, the Delta State Bursary and Scholarship Board has directed all eligible beneficiaries to submit the required documents to facilitate the processing and disbursement of the approved funds. The governor said beneficiaries are expected to forward their admission letter, certificates of call to the bar, valid means of identification, local government identification, and bank account details to DSBB at deltastate.governor.ng between July 23rd and July 29, 2026. The Delta State Police Command has arrested 22 suspected drug traffickers and rescued 2 minors during an operation targeting illicit drugs dens in Uzoro and Abraka communities of the state. The operation, carried out on July 21, 2026, also led to the recovery of large quantities of suspected illicit substances, including cannabis, codeine syrup, tramadol, and other hard drugs. The police public relations officer, SP Edafe Bright, disclosed in a statement on Thursday that the coordinated raid formed part of the command's sustained crackdown on drug trafficking and related criminal activities across the state. Meanwhile, SP Edafe Bright said the suspects were apprehended at identified drug hotspots during the operation, while 2 minors found at the locations were rescued and placed in protective custody for appropriate care. He noted that the recovered exhibits had been documented and that investigations were ongoing to determine the source of the illicit drugs and identify other members of the syndicate. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration Control, NAFDAC, yesterday embarked on nationwide enforcement against all alcoholic beverages packaged in sachets, polythene, terephthalate, PET bottles below 200 millimeters, marking the full implementation of the federal government's ban on the products. The sweeping crackdown, which is taking place simultaneously across the 6 geopolitical zones, followed the closure of manufacturing facilities found to be producing the banned alcoholic drinks in violation of regulatory directives. Consequently, NAFDAC enforcement teams have fanned out to markets, motor parks, retail outlets, bars, supermarkets, and other distribution channels to identify, seize, and destroy the prohibited products, warning that anyone found producing, importing, distributing, transporting, stocking, or selling them risks prosecution. Also, the Director General, Professor Christiana Adeyeye, said in a statement yesterday that the agency had directed manufacturers, importers, distributors, wholesalers, retailers, hawkers, and transporters to immediately surrender any remaining stock. Now on the foreign scene. The US has imposed new tariffs on 60 trading partners in the latest escalation in the trade war reignited by US President Donald Trump when he returned to office last year. Those targeted, including the UK, China, and European Union, will face a tariff of 10% to 12.5% on all goods, accounting for almost all American imports. The tariffs, which replaced an identical levy which expires on Friday, are based on claims key economic partners have failed to properly tackle forced labor. But US trade expert Caroline Food said the move is not about forced labor, but that Trump is simply looking for a legal reason to put the tariffs in. Recall that the US Supreme Court had ruled earlier this year that many of the tariffs imposed globally under emergency powers were illegally enacted. In the meantime, the 10% to 12.5% duties on imports were proposed last month by the White House and over concerns they were not doing enough to tackle forced labor. Finally, on the world of sports, Nigerian Super Falcons wrapped up their preparations for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations with a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Tanzania in an international friendly in Casablanca on Friday night. Captain Rajditat Ajibade opened the scoring for the 10-time African champions in the 14th minute, calmly finishing after being set up by Rinsola Babajide. Justin Madrigal's side dominated much of the first half and created several clear-cut chances, but were unable to extend their advantage before the interval. Despite Nigeria's control of the contest, Tanzania drew level in the 79th minute against the run of play. However, Esther Okoronkwo restored the Super Falcons' lead just a minute from time, firing home the decisive goal to hand the reigning African champions a deserved victory. The friendly served as Nigerians' final tune-up ahead of the WAFCON 2026 finals. The Super Falcons will travel to Rabat on Friday, where they will begin the defense of their continental title against Malawi's scorers at the Al Madina Stadium next Tuesday. Now to end the news, recap on our headlines. NAFDAC targets markets, bars, motor parks, begins nationwide raid on sachet alcohol. On foreign scene, US announces tariffs on dozens of countries over forced labor concerns. On sports, Super Falcons overcome Tanzania in 3 WAFCON friendlies. That ends the news from Americans TV as read and edited by Tinyala Emanuela. Thanks for watching.